Hey everybody, Professor Benlow here with the second of 3 short videos discussing Unit 2 discussion board. In this short video, I will be discussing the first 3 topics that you can choose from for this assignment. Remember, there are 6 topics to choose from. Choose 1, please. Okay, so the Bay of Pigs invasion, here we go. 1959, give you a little background information. Cuban Revolution brought the communist government of Fidel Castro to power. The plans for the Bay of Pig invasion, basically you gotta understand, had been formulated under President Eisenhower. But President Eisenhower didn't have enough time to put them into effect before he left office in January 1961. So the decisions regarding the Bay of Pigs invasion fell to incoming President John F. Kennedy. The CIA had been training Cuban exiles in Guatemala to land at the Bay of Pigs in Cuba and, invade at that area and hopefully incite Cubans to rise up along with them and oust Castro. Well, it ended up being an absolute fiasco. It didn't exactly happen that way, and we're going to get into that. April 1961, the Bay of Pigs invasion indeed occurred. The U.S. government had promised the Cuban exiles 2 airstrikes to back them up through 2 airstrikes. After the first airstrike, the U.S. government's involvement in the operation was obvious, so Kennedy canceled the second airstrike. Approximately 1,200 exiles were taken prisoner and 100 were killed. President Kennedy ended up negotiating the release of the imprisoned exiles. Okay, the second topic you can choose from is the Cuban Missile Crisis. October of 1962, U.S. military surveillance planes photographed nuclear missile sites being constructed in Cuba by the Soviet Union. The Kennedy administration had 2 choices in responding to the Cuban Missile Crisis. Firstly, order an invasion of Cuba, which a year and a half after the Bay of Pigs fiasco, maybe not so much. And secondly, place a naval blockade against Cuba. Kennedy administration chose a naval blockade because it was feared that an invasion would lead to intervention by the Soviet Union. And of course, the Bay of Pigs invasion that had happened a year and a half ago didn't go that well. Negotiations during the Cuban Missile Crisis lasted a very tense 13 days. It was the closest we've ever been to nuclear war. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, who was President Kennedy's brother, wrote of his experience as a cabinet member during the crisis within his book, 13 Days. It also was turned into a movie, 13 Days, just so you know, and maybe you want to check that out. The Soviets removed the missiles from Cuba in exchange for the U.S. promise not to invade Cuba. And it's funny because during the Cold War, kids learned in school, well, darn it, we stared down the Soviets and they blinked. We won. Well, not so much. It wasn't revealed until recently that the U.S. agreed to remove their missiles from Greece and Turkey in, exchange for the Soviets removing their missiles from Cuba. So very interesting. Okay. Third topic I will go over today, and then I will go, in the next video, I will go over the rest of the topics. Vietnam War protests. John Kerry gave the speech in front of Congressional Committee April 23rd, 1971. John Kerry was a U.S. Senator from Massachusetts from 1985 till 2013. He also was a Democratic Party nominee for president in 2004. He served as Secretary of State under President Obama from 2013 until 2017. From 1966 until 1970, so right before he gave the speech, he served as a lieutenant in the United States Navy fighting in Vietnam. He became very disillusioned while fighting in Vietnam, and he became a member of the Vietnam Veterans Against the War. This was a group that was formed in 1967 and basically was protesting our involvement in the Vietnam War. Kerry was chosen to give a speech before a congressional committee on April 23rd, 1971. All right, that is the second short video. I will be back with a third one discussing the women's rights movement, the Chicano rights movement, and Black Power. See you in a little bit.